Now, ladies and gentlemen, with Counter-Strike Global Offensive growing in popularity and averaging anywhere from 800,000 to 1.1 million players on a daily basis, the average Joe and average player are wanting to buy, invest, and unbox CSGO cases, which has absolutely risen the price exponentially this past little while, but more so specifically, the past couple of weeks, some individual cases by influencers and just people talking about them, as well as hype surrounding them, have risen the price on these quite a bit, and that's what I want to take a look at in today's video, alongside some things like the most unboxed case, agent skins, if these are still going up, what's happening with that, and the future of CSGO cases. Are we ever going to see the 3-cent marker for a case ever again? Because I know that's a very interesting question that I have for myself, and I think a lot of you do as well. Now, with all that being said, if you guys enjoyed this market update and what's going on recently and what you should look out for specifically, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you hit the like button and of course subscribe. I also have a Twitch channel where I'll be live playing Counter-Strike Global Offensive, talking to you guys later this week. If you guys want to drop by and give a quick follow before we do so, that'd be much appreciated. And of course, before we get into the commentary, here's a quick word from our video sponsor, Skins Monkey. Now, today's video sponsor is, of course, Skins Monkey. Skins Monkey is currently the easiest and also fastest way you can buy, but most importantly, trade your CSGO skins. All you have to do is make sure you have your trade link, and on your first trade, if you have a leftover balance, it goes towards your current balance that can be used the next time you end up trading skins. It has 3 ways you can inspect, but most importantly, has a very in-depth inspect feature that you can see corners on a karambit, for an example, that you can't really see otherwise unless you have the item in game. If you end up topping up your balance, make sure to use promo code MANDO to get up to a 35% deposit bonus and a free $5 on the first trade. The first thing I want to take a look at is, of course, the overall market. How are we looking here today? And let's start off with things like the recoil and, of course, Dreams and Nightmares case. Now, these are down quite a bit. Well, not quite a bit, but for what they've been recently, it's down a little bit. So 5 to 10 cents is on the recoil case, which is pretty interesting at 124,000 quantity. Dreams and Nightmares is down, I would say, about maybe 4 or 5 cents. Nothing crazy, but they are down a little bit. And for the rest of things, of course, like the Breakout case being almost $5 just a couple of days ago, now returning to $4.22. This was one of the 2 cases I wanted to come back and take a look on because they rose up in price so much in a very short period of time. I found that to be very unhealthy and unnatural. So I didn't want to suggest people to go buy this if it was kind of unnatural, which that it deemed to be. And the second case with that is, of course, the Fracture. Now, this rose up from anywhere from 12, 11, 10 cents, depending on where you bought it from on a third-party service, doesn't really matter. If you were to sell on the Steam market just a few days ago, it was, of course, going for 22 cents, which is just kind of crazy. But now, it's, of course, returned back to 17. It's not a whole lot, maybe that 4 or 5 cents after Steam taxes doesn't seem like a lot to you, but of course, if you're buying 1,000 of these, it really does stack up and will save you a little bit of money. And of course, you always get to know if it's going to be stable in the future in a way like that as well. So with the Fracture case individually, of course, this at 146,000 quantity at 17 to 18 cents roughly throughout the day on the Steam market. Like I said, this has risen so much in a very short period of time. And I think it's good that a lot of people decided to wait, including myself, to know if we should buy these right now. So some questions revolving around this is, why has this gone up so much in a very short period of time? Obviously, because this is in the primary active duty drop pool right now, people have been wondering what's going on. As you can see, prime drops is what you can get right now. It's, of course, the Recoil, Dreams and Nightmares, Snakebite, Fracture, and Clutch. This is kind of crazy considering this is just a little over 2 years old now. And of course, with active duty drop pool cases, they're no longer very cheap. They're expensive now in the Steam market. And this kind of goes into something really quickly, is the 3-cent cases. I personally don't think we're ever going to see another situation, at least in the next year or so, if the player base, holds up to a certain degree. If we have at least 500,000 to 600,000 people playing CS on a daily basis, a daily average, and with millions of cases being unboxed, I don't see how it's even possible for some of the newer cases to come out and not be a little over $1 or something like the Dreams and Nightmares or Recoil, where they're extremely expensive. You take the Danger Zone, for an instance, and this is something I want to take a look at in another video, where I relate back to my older videos and really seeing how those investments worked out. But the Danger Zone was really the last case you could have bought at a very cheap price that has gone up to 20 cents. Now, no one really could have predicted something like that, and neither can really you. The exploding popularity in CSGO cases for many different reasons was not really predictable, at least not in that short a period of time, if that makes any sense. And for people who are wondering if you should buy into the Fracture or something like the Breakout case, I'll give you some pros and cons and if you should do so. So some pros to, of course, buying into the Fracture and, of course, the Breakout case is, if you're going to be holding for the long term, which this is a very golden key term here, is you should be mainly holding for the long term. I'm talking like 2 or 3 years, maybe up to 5. You put them in a storage unit and you kind of just forget about it. And of course, investing into the Fracture versus Breakout are two completely different things and situations. Now, some cons into buying maybe into the Breakout versus the Fracture is the Breakout is really low in quantity. Obviously, it's going to be a higher price, but it's a very high buy-in. Versus the Fracture, in a good way right now, it's so cheap. You can buy literally hundreds of them for only like $50, which is just kind of crazy. And that's a really good deal for a lot of people because considering the way CSGO cases are going, this will probably be $1 in, 5 or 6 years time if it just sits and holds in your CSGO inventory. Now the cons, especially for something like the Fracture case, and because it is so cheap, this is also kind of a new thing where we're kind of going into a new generation of CSGO investing as well as cases being so expensive. People aren't always familiar with what's going on. Like we talked about earlier, the 3-cent era for cases is kind of gone. So how long is this going to last, and will it last with this player count? Will CSGO drop the ball one day and people just kind of stop playing? That will cause a lot of cases to come down in price and people just will forget about them and not care anymore. And the benefit to going with something like the Breakout, for an example, right now might be for some people that obviously it is expensive, but also it's always going to have a stable price because it is so low in quantity and people are always going to want the consumables that you can get inside of that. And the con to both right now is, of course, the market is extremely high, which I've been talking about for a very long time. But the way CSGO is going, even with an operation coming out, I don't really think that's going to have a huge impact on the market. So if you're holding for the long term, I think either is a decent idea. And if you're going to buy in, you should just bite the bullet and do it. Of course, other pickups on the market are, of course, like the Chroma 2 and Chroma 3. And for the Chroma 3, it's almost hitting 80 cents and most likely going to be pushing $1 later this year. Maybe going into 2023, we could see it go past that. But it's just kind of crazy. And this has been going up so much in a very short period of time this past little year or so. It's gone from 20 to 80 cents in the matter of a year, mainly because of the knives. No one cares about the skins because it has old Chroma knives, which used to be pretty, not hard, but the Chroma 2 was going up in price, so people turn to this. And of course, since this is expensive, you kind of just have to bite the bullet now and unbox this if you want a Chroma knife. Good things about this right now are, of course, that it has a very high popularity. One of the cheapest ways to get the Chroma knives right now. Cons, of course, the skins in it aren't very good, so you're mainly buying this and investing into it because of the gold inside of it. But I don't really see why this wouldn't hold up. Next up is, of course, the revolver case. It's obviously gotten a lot of price hypes this year, going from 4 and 5 cents to literally 46, which is just absolutely crazy. Haven't talked too much on it because it's just one of those things. You had such a long opportunity to buy into this, and now everyone's wondering if they should buy in at 50 cents, and people are going to wonder if they buy in at 80 cents. This thing is going to go up no matter what. Has a pretty low quantity because people didn't really care about this back in the day, and now people do because knives are getting expensive, skins are getting expensive, and so are cases. And this is now one of the mid-tier investing cases inside of CS because it's 36,000 quantity at 46 cents, and it's the last way to get the old knives in Counter-Strike. Well, one of the last anyway for a cheap price. And I think this will keep going as well. And of course, a quick update with the agents. There hasn't been a patch or an update yet with these in CSGO, which has been kind of concerning for me. I would expect something to roll out probably on Monday or Tuesday of this upcoming week in the later half of September. This is a really bad look for Valve themselves. Because if you guys are unfamiliar, the professionals on the Steam market and from Operation Broken Fang and some from Riptide have been proven to be pay to win at a 17% difference in hitboxes, where it's 17% harder to hit a Sir Bloody Daryl, Sir Bloody Miami Daryl than it is to hit a default agent on the TRCT side for CSGO, which is just kind of crazy. So that's a pretty bad look if it's getting out there to the press. That really needs to be fixed very soon. And of course, for the most unboxed cases of July 2022. Now for August, it hasn't been yet prepared on how many cases were unboxed, but it's going to be decently the exact same because this really hasn't changed much this year. And to give you guys an understanding of what's going on, really the past year, the Clutch case has been the most unboxed case inside of Counter-Strike. And for the rest, the Snakebite case is in second. The third is Dreams and Nightmares. Snakebite is third. And of course, Recoil case is fourth. And for the rest, it's like Prisma 2, Spectrum 2, Gamma 2, Chroma 3, Danger Zone, and so on and so forth. Some of the newer cases in the game. And if you guys want to look at this yourself, of course, on Reddit, that's where you can find it on the CSGO Market Forum. It gets posted every single month, and it's pretty helpful if you want to invest into some cases. Now, overall, there are a lot of pros and cons to investing into CS right now. Of course, buying in some of these items specifically. Make sure to only put in when you can afford to lose. And remember, really going into cases right now, something like the Fracture or Breakout, mainly going into something like the cheaper side of things like Fracture or Danger Zone, or even something like the Revolver, you should be holding for, in my opinion, at least a year or two. And that's the bare minimum right now. And if you want to cash out for real life cash, you're going to be losing at least 20 to 25% unless you're doing an actual cash deal. And even then you will be losing something as well. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys are doing. Hopefully that helped you guys out. Peace out, guys.